Hi everyone, I hope this video finds you well. As promised, I'm going to provide you a tutorial of some very basic genetic concepts that are fundamental in being able to successfully execute genetics problems. In order for you to tackle these types of problems, you need to have a good groundwork, a good understanding of what genetics, the concepts are. And so I'm going to help you to build this foundation. So here on this side, we're going to focus on just this and not all this other stuff over here. Here you'll see one chromosome, and on the other you'll see another chromosome. Together, these are paired chromosomes. Alongside the chromosomes, you'll find alleles. Alleles are a fancy word for different versions of a gene. So in this case, the alleles that I'm going to point out are little a and big B. And in this case, the alleles alongside this chromosome are big A and little b. Together, if we were to look at the alleles in the same position on both of these chromosomes, together they make up a gene. The location of these alleles, of these genes, is called the locus. Locus, you can think of location, locus. So, if we were to write this out formally, we would write out a genotype such as this. Big A, little a, coming from here, and little b, big B, coming from here. It's important to note that both of these chromosomes contain the same genetic material, just possibly different variations of a gene. So, for example, these two are different variations of a gene, and so are these. Although it could be that both parents provide the same variation of that gene. So perhaps theoretically, say a parent contributes little b and the other parent also contributes little b. It's important to note too that if we have two alleles that make up a gene and they're both different versions of each other, that means that at this gene location, they are heterozygous. They're different. Whereas if we had, theoretically, let's say, instead of big B here, we erased it. And we say, this is little b. So we have the same versions of the genes. That means that these alleles at this location making up this gene, they are homozygous at this gene location, locus. Genotype, I want to also point out, is the complete set of genetic material. So that's why we wrote it out in full. This is all of the alleles, in this case with the chromosome, that compose these chromosomes, the complete set of material. Phenotype is different. Phenotype, you can think of phenotype P, like your physical appearance. Phenotype is what you actually physically see with your eyes. Phenotype is what you physically see. Genotype, it's microscopic. You're not going to be able to see it. It basically just translates the genetic material into what you actually are physically seeing in the world. It's also important to note that in everybody's body, there are 46 paired, like this, paired chromosomes in somatic, or in other words, body cells. So body cells are your non-reproductive, they are not your sex cells, they are your body cells. And then in your sex cells, you have 23 unpaired chromosomes in the sex cells. The reason why this happens is because when egg and sperm come together, each has half the set of information needed to make an organism. So when they combine, it's a complete paired chromosome like this. One contributed from mother, one contributed from father. I believe you will see the words haploid and diploid. Haploid is referring to these sex cells. You can think of haploid being half. It has half of the information. Diploid, you can think of di. Di means two. So it has the complete set of information. That applies to somatic or body cells, in other words. So this is diploid. This is haploid, sex cells. Half of the information, all of the information. Paired chromosomes, unpaired chromosomes. 23 and 46. A few things too that I wanted to point out to you guys is that not all genes code for proteins. In fact, the majority of genes do not code for proteins. They're called non-coding genes. You can think of genes instead as being a set of instructions. Another important thing is that a gene is heritable. You can inherit it. And the other point that I want to make is that if we were looking at a chromosome again, a single chromosome, and in my prior picture, I had the alleles all along the chromosome. Also, the alleles are bound within DNA. DNA is very tightly coiled, bundled around chromosomes and what makes up a chromosome. So hopefully now you have a better idea of how DNA, alleles, genes, chromosomes, how they are all related to one another. To recap, we have chromosome, which can be paired with another chromosome. All along the chromosome are alleles, which are different versions of a gene. And what makes up a chromosome is very tightly coiled DNA.